What is up, everybody? Timberverse here today, and we have to talk about IGN Employee Destin Legarie, who wants to say there is no Xbox tax. It is all in you Xbox gamers' head. There is no bias against Xbox whatsoever. Now, I think this is a load of bull crap. And then again, why would you trust the source who works one of the biggest websites in the game in media, IGN? I mean, if Destin Legarie literally wants to find hints of there being bias against Xbox, he doesn't have to look that far, because pretty sure people posted it. This dude's posted. He's been talking about this nonstop for the past day about this Xbox tax thing. So apparently he's really feeling the effects of being called out. But you don't have to look too far for biasness at IGN, because they have one of his employees, another employee was at IGN, saying Sony will have a major tentpole release next year. I mean, they're not Xbox, right? Meanwhile, while she's saying this, PlayStation only had one big game this year, Spider-Man 2. And Xbox had several first-party games, so it's kind of laughable while she made the statement, but there you go. And then, where's the one with, here we go. More IGN, before I get to that one. Here we go, more IGN saying, hey, can you spot the difference between the PS4 version, Xbox version of God of War? Oh, that's right, that's not an Xbox version. Literally Gaming Media right here, people, on their Instagram account. Another one. Multiple articles trashing Starfield. Multiple articles praising Spider-Man 2. Let's see. If Microsoft plans to release games like Starfield Scroll 6 on PS5, feel what it says already. There will be anger and backlash when they firmly are Microsoft exclusive. So letting you know they got some type of bias against Xbox, especially with the Bethesda acquisition. And then another one from Dan Stapleton saying, it is also the worst possible way to play Xbox. What he wants you to believe that there's no biasness against Xbox, apparently. And then the fact, what this guy mentioned right here, the fact that they gave PlayStation Portal a higher score than a Steam Deck. Yes, that makes a lot of sense to give PlayStation Portal a higher score than a dedicated handheld. But apparently Dustin sees no bias. He sees no bias at all. That you give a portable console that's not even a real portable, it's a half-ass portable that you got to stream your PS5 games. It's just a waste of technology. But they gave that device a higher score than the Steam Deck. That makes no sense. But he made this 23-minute long video trying to damage control for these different media outlets and saying that, hey, it's just their opinion that Starfield wasn't nominated for Game of the Year, because it's just their opinion, right? What's the excuse for Hogwarts Legacy not getting any nominations, though? That's what I really want to know. You can say that, hey, maybe the Xbox bias isn't real. That's not a thing, but damn control the Hogwarts Legacy situation. Why is it just not nominated at all for any category when it's the highest selling games, one of the highest selling games of this year, if not the highest selling game of this year? Major critic and user praise, but no nominations, no acknowledgement whatsoever from the game industry. They want to sweep that game under the rug because of the politics, the controversy that J.K. Rowling stated. Explain that then, Dustin, if there's no biasness. And that you tell me they can show bias against Hogwarts Legacy, they can't show bias against Xbox. Like, there's just no way, right? Then he talks about this post that I covered from the guy who was in charge of he was talking about Call of Duty, how this one is getting so much negativity than the previous ones. Then he said, hey, you shouldn't believe this guy because he has some invested interest in Call of Duty succeeding. Well, don't you got a vested industry in the gaming media not being called out for their biasness? Like, the pot pretty much just called him the kettle black at this point. Like, the hypocrisy right here. The dude who works in one of the biggest media outlets, gaming outlets, is talking about you shouldn't call out biasness from the media. There's no biasness at all. That's like him investigating themselves and saying, hey, there's no bias here. Like, really? I was trying to touch on it because I'm not trying to go over a 23-minute long video because it was so long and drawn out. But what else was he talking about? He talked about the Major Nelson interview from 2018, saying how Major Nelson said that, hey, They never gonna give us credit before in the past. They're not gonna give us credit now, and that still stands to this very day. I mean, it's like I understand they didn't give them credit. You could say because the Xbox One generation has so much bad reception, but they greatly improved everything in the Xbox Series X generation, and they still aren't getting that credit really. Like I think Metacritic gave them a Publisher of the Year 2021. That was only like real big up that they gave Xbox. That was from one outlet. These rest of those outlets are still talking about Starfield. It was one article. They talking about how Starfield is declining. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Yeah, it was from Game & Bolt saying how Starfield could be in trouble as player numbers plummet. Why are we still talking about Starfield? This game came out like 3 months ago. Single player games don't last that long in the game and media news outlet. They don't talk about single player games for that long, but they can't stop talking about Starfield in negative light. I wonder why. It's like they were literally grasp at straws to talk about Starfield. It's like Starfield isn't even being mentioned, but they gotta find a way to try to trash Starfield in some way. Like, who cares? The game's been on for 3 months. Get over it. But then he says, send me all your proof of the Xbox tax. Want to make sure I don't miss anything if I do a follow-up. Yeah, like this person says, articles daily crying about it, mass media outrage. Stellar Blade was actually officially announced for Xbox. Silence. Yeah. Like, if games like Starfield, which was originally supposed to be on PlayStation, was decided to change to not be on PlayStation, media outlets were losing their minds about it. But Stellar Blade had the same thing, where it's supposed to be on Xbox. Nope, not a peep from it. And just their constant, like, notions of, Xbox buys these publishers and different studios. It's constant consolidation, bro. Well, what PlayStation does it, you don't hear a peep. It's not an issue. So it's like a big hypocrisy. And just to believe that, then instead of addressing it, he makes this stupid joke like, "What is Stellar Blade? You don't know what Stellar Blade is? The biggest game is coming out to PlayStation next year." Okay. It's just corny stuff like that. It's just annoying stuff like that you see in the industry. And then the constant, like, since we're still speaking about IGN, the constant notion they kept was a whole period of, like, for at least like a month or two, they kept dropping out major third-party games not coming to Xbox specifically. It was like, very coincidentally, all these major third-party games, he just left out they come to Xbox when IGN was talking about them. It's just very fascinating. And then Metro said because of the lack of exclusive games, we're gonna adopt Hi-Fi Rush score a little bit because of the other games that released on Xbox. And that makes no sense, but gaming industry, the gaming publicists, gaming different industry websites gave Xbox games a lower score, so make it make sense. PlayStation released one game this year. Are we gonna see scores be lower from other PlayStation web games because they only released one game this year? I don't think that's gonna happen, but they did that to Hi-Fi Rush though. So he can say, like, it's kind of pointless when it's just so overwhelming that the different biases against Xbox. So he can try to make it seem like it's not no Xbox bias, that you're all crazy. He also said this: "You're all right. I'm the only one who sound crazy for denying the Xbox tax." We look further down below, you see a picture of him promoting the Xbox tax right here. But I digress. It's like, why are we listening to this guy who's in the industry anyway? Like, of course he's going to say there's no biases. He can't really trash Sony as he does Xbox, because if he does, there's going to be a blacklist. Does he deny that some companies get blacklisted for not showing Sony in a favorable light, like how Survivor was? Like, knock it off. Like, I don't know why people are paying attention to this guy. Like, once again, he's a person who works at IGN, which is the head. That's like the head of the snake at this point of this whole Xbox tax thing. I wouldn't trust anything they state. And they got the whole, like, we gave Xbox games high scores before in the past. Who cares? That doesn't matter. You got employees saying stuff like this. All that 10 and 9 out of 10 stuff, I don't really care at this point. At this point, I don't even listen to IGN, but because they want to keep being relevant, like, people and their employees gotta talk about it. It's like, who still listens to IGN at this point? Like, I just completely ignore what they state. Unless it's like news related, like just neutral news related stuff. I just don't even pay attention to reviews and stuff like that anymore. Because with the whole Starfield situation, they got a lot of traction, a lot of buzz from being given that game a 7 out of 10. They got so much traction, so they gained from them having like this, these really shocking headline Xbox hit pieces. They gained from that, so it's like, who cares at this point? It's like, listen to IGN if you want to, your choice, but I refuse to just ignore the IGN at this point. Unless it's like gaming news related stuff, I'm not taking their opinion pieces seriously at this point. Because there's no way, there's no biasness in the industry where you can show bias Hogwarts Legacy though. It's just a mighty coincidence that there's like no nominations at the Game Awards, the biggest award show. Hogwarts Legacy is just not nominated for anything, right? It doesn't make any sense. And this was that series of like videos they just kept leaving out Xbox for the different multiplayer games like Mortal Kombat 1, Alan Wake 2, Lies of P, and Persona 3 Reload. No mention of Xbox anywhere. Just coincidentally. But there's no biasness. There's no Xbox tax. Or of how, what was it, Call of Duty? I think he mentioned that one too. Call of Duty got a 4 out of 10 from IGN, but it's the best selling game right now on PlayStation and Xbox. Make it make sense. It's like, this is the year you want to talk about games being rushed out there, but they've always been rushed out. And it's like, if you got such an issue with Call of Duty being rushed out, then you should have the same issue with those sports games being rushed out as well. But there's no video about that. There's no 4 out of 10 for those sports games, right? Then he talks about Microsoft losing the console war. Who cares? It's like, who cares? Nah, I'm just done speaking on this situation because it's kind of like it's being drawn out. But people like him keep bringing it up. It's like, if you want to keep ignoring his Xbox tax, then stop bringing it up. Like, he made like 4 different tweets about this. Like, for one, who's gonna take your opinion seriously at this point? Like, you work at IGN. Like, I don't know. He should have just left this topic alone, to be honest. But I don't know. I guess he just wants to be in the in crowd at this point because you just deny that there's no bias. It's just ridiculous. Like, they don't show Sony in a favorable light this generation. It's just nonsense. It's like, those are just my thoughts. I'm not gonna roll on this too long, but I think 23 minutes is way too long. So I'm gonna stick this to be like 13 minutes at most. So I'm gonna include it right here. I'll leave it to yourselves. You think there's a bias or not, or Xbox tax? Some people say there isn't. Some people say there is, but I think it's blatantly obvious that there is at this point. Because once again, talk about Sony in a negative and a not so favorable light, you might get blacklisted from the media. Just ask Survivor about that. I mean, they weren't even console war. They're just saying, hey, we don't like certain Sony games, and they stopped getting review codes. So, but there's no Xbox tax and no biases, right? So I'm going to include it right here. Definitely see your thoughts down below. Leave a like this video. And as always, thanks for watching, and peace.